Okay. So good morning everyone. My name is Lalit Soni and you are watching Drishti IAS. In this live session, we will be talking about the Indian Express newspaper. We will be moving forward with important articles from your weekend as well as today. And then we will be moving to the important discussions. There will be MCQs for your practice. We will be talking about some revision bits from the Constitution Amendment. We will also see some fact of the day. All these things will be there in our today's discussion. So let's start. I'll be telling you first that what kind of you can say outline we will have today. Okay, hold on a second. Just I'll take a second from you. Okay. So now let's start our discussion again. So we'll be talking about these important articles which are given over here. PM Kisan Samman Nidhi. There was a survey or the study which was happening in Kerala, and it was found that there are various or nearly 60,000 you can say beneficiaries are there which are not eligible. Okay, so you can say how these funds are being inappropriated. So we'll be talking about that, and then we'll be moving to the next one, that is RBI government gulf over the policy. Right now, if we talk about the RBI's prediction of the growth rate, that was nearly around 7% or something. If we talk about the last quarter, the growth was somewhere around 5.5% or something. So considering that government is having this issue with RBI, that why are you not going for the policy cuts, so that market will be having more money, more liquidity, and there will be more investment. So we will be talking about that. What is this growth versus inflation issue, or you can say RBI versus government gulf which is there. Okay. Then we'll be moving to the next one, that is basically is pollution reducing our vitamin D. Our body absorb vitamin D from sun. Okay. Now we know that pollution is everywhere because of its fog and smog is there. So will that affect your vitamin D generation? So we will be talking about that. Other than that, there are various articles which we will have to discuss today. Okay. So let's start our discussion. We'll be first seeing the practice question which was given to you in the previous lecture, that where is Lothal located. Now you don't have to even give a second thought. Here they are talking about Pakistan. Lothal is not in Pakistan. Wrong. Okay. On the banks of Ravi river. If you talk about the on the banks of Ravi river, we have Harappa. Okay. And when we are talking about the Ganga river in Uttar Pradesh, so in Uttar Pradesh also we don't have Lothal. Lothal is there in Gujarat. Okay. So on the river, that is Bogavo and Sabarmati river in Gujarat. So this is basically your answer. Option B would be your right answer. We have talked about Lothal because recently there was this death which has happened because of the collapse of a, you can say, site over there. So that is why Lothal was in news, and Lothal is a prominent site. Other than that, also there is a mega project which is there. So you can tell me in the comment box that which project is there by the central government. We have talked about that in our live sessions. Okay. Now let's move further, and before that, I would like to tell you that our Noida center, we are starting classes from 9th December for Hindi medium, morning 11:30, and then when we are talking about the English medium batch, that is from 12th of December, evening 6 p.m. Okay, address is given over here, C171/2, Block A, Sector 15, Noida. And if you need any more information regarding the course, you can call on this number, that is 9311406440 or 87501 okay, and you can click on the link which is given in the description to get more information. Other than that, for our Prayagraj Center UPSC GS Foundation course for Hindi and English medium, that is starting on 2nd of January at different times. For Hindi medium, that is 6 p.m. and for English medium, that is 5:30 p.m. Okay, so you can go and directly get enrolled, or you can call on this number which is given to you. Okay, now moving further, if you have not subscribed the channel, please subscribe it. Let's start with the first part of our discussion, that is constitution amendments. Before that, one more important thing for you. considering the preparation of UPSC in mind, considering that you will be going into the prelims preparation now after December and January, so there is the one thing which is important is that you don't have to detach from the mains preparation, and you have to go for the prelims as well. So we have come up with a you can say integrated plan for prelims as well as mains, that is Sambhav 2025. It will be starting from today, that is 2nd of December 2024. Here what will we do is that there will be daily 10 prelims practice questions, okay, and you will be able to check your real time rank. So that is one thing, okay. Other than that, we will be having 2 mains questions daily, okay. So you can practice over there so that you don't detach from the mains preparation as well. Now these questions will be based on the PYQ analysis, so that will be very beneficial for you, okay. Other than that, there will be detailed explanation, real time rankings based on the in-depth analysis of PYQ, complete coverage of the general studies and the current affairs, and this particular initiative will be on our website, and it will be open for all the aspirants, okay. Now moving further and starting with the first part of the day, that is your fact of the day: rising digital arrest. Recently there was this issue which is rising, that there are people who are coming up with a new kind of fraud, that is digital arrest. They will actually play on your fear. What they will do is they will call you and say that there is this parcel which is being sent to Iran or Iraq, okay, and in your name your Aadhaar card has been used. So you will be saying, obviously I don't know about this parcel. So they will say, okay fine, you have to come to the, let's say, Andheri police station in Mumbai. You are a citizen who is living in Delhi. You will be saying that I am not able to come there, I am a person who is living in Delhi. So they will say, okay fine, in that case we will be going for the online proceeding. We will be connecting you to the local police station that is there in Andheri. They will connect you on a call, that police officer will be talking to you, and police officer will say, we will be talking on the video call, we will be taking your video evidence, and then we will be moving forward with the things, okay. Now when you will be going for the video call, you will be seeing there is a proper setup of police station is there. There is this all table, chair, and a person in uniform. Behind that there will be this Mahatma Gandhi and Bhagat Singh's photo. All these things will be there. You will be convinced that this is a police setup, and then you will be having a video call. They will say that our side of camera will be closed, so that we will be taking only your statement over there, okay fine. When you give the statement or when you give your video, they will play with your video, they will forge your video, they will make a fake deep or something like that, and then they will try to extort money out of you. Now this is the whole game that is called as digital arrest, okay. So let's see. Digital arrest scams involve cyber criminal impersonating the law enforcement officers or the government agencies such as the state police, CBI, ED, Narcotics Bureau, defrauding gullible victims of their hard-earned money, okay. Scammers are unsuspecting people claiming a case that has been filed against them, and then even use a fake police station to give you a credence to their allegiance. So basically they will target those who are vulnerable, those who are less aware, okay, and then ultimately they will be doing all these things. And as a matter of fact, I have gotten such calls. So be aware, if you get any call which is talking you about your arrest, or if they are talking about any suspecting parcel, or let's say a SIM card, something like that, just cut the call or report the number. That you should do, okay. Now moving further, what is the modus operandi, how these criminals are operating? So cyber criminals contact victims via phone or emails stating that starting audio calls and then video calls from places like airports, police stations, or courts. They use photos of police officers, lawyers, and judges as display picture on their social media account to appear legitimate, okay. After that, they may also send fake arrest warrant, legal notices, or official looking document via email or messaging app. So you have to be cautious about that. That is the concept of digital arrest. They are targeting the vulnerable people, okay. Then now moving further, 92nd Amendment Act 2003. Last time we have talked about the 91st. Here we will be talking about some of the languages which has been added. One thing over here is that the first part over here, that they have added Bodo, Dogri or Dongri, Maithili, and Santhali. These languages were added to the you can say 8th schedule, okay. In 8th schedule right now we are having 22 languages, okay. They have been added with the 2003 amendment, that is Bodo, Dogri, Maithili, and Santhali. Now when the constitution was enacted, initially in the constitution there were 14 languages, okay, and after that 3 languages were added later, and after that 1 language, that is Sindhi, was added. After that 4 languages were added later on, okay. So like that they have added the languages. We will be seeing how. Here you can see Assamese, Bengali, Gujarati, Hindi, Kannada, Kashmiri, Malayalam, Marathi, Oriya, Punjabi, Sanskrit, Tamil, Telugu and Urdu. These are the 14 languages sorry, which were already there. Okay. After that, they have added Sindhi. Then they have added Konkani, Manipuri and Nepali. And then in the end, they have added Bodo, Santhali, Maithili and Dogri. Okay. Now this is how they have, the 8th schedule consists 22 languages. These are your, you can say, official languages which are there when we talk about the authorized language, etc. So these are the languages which are there in our constitutional text. Okay. So total 22 languages are there in the 8th schedule right now. And when we are talking about the 92nd Amendment Act 2003, there were 4 languages which were added, that is Bodo, Dogri, Maithili and Santhali. I would say that please remember these amendments related to the languages this time, because we have given classical language status to few languages this time. So these languages can be important for us in next year's examination. Okay. Now sir PDF मिल नहीं रहा है 2 दिन से. It's all right if we miss some day, we will be uploading it the next day, because last working day was Friday. So we will be uploading it today, that Fridays as well as today's. Okay. So don't worry about that. PDF you will be getting on the Telegram channel, and link is given in the description. Okay. And this is a mistake on my end that I forgot about it. Anyways, we will be uploading it. Okay. Anyway, we will be starting with the first one, that is 60,000 ineligible beneficiaries in Kerala under PM Kisan Samman Nidhi source data. Now we don't have to go under this particular news that how many beneficiaries were illegal or they were not eligible or something like that. What is important for us is that PM Kisan has been in the news. So you have to make sure that you read about the PM Kisan. So here you can see Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi, an initiative to ensure minimum income support of 6,000 rupees per year for farmers. Now that will be given in the 3 different installments. That is a different story, but that is basically the scheme, that is PM Samman Nidhi. If you remember this much, that is good enough, but if there is something extra, we will be talking about that. Okay. Now 1458 state government employee has been pocketing various welfare pension meant for the weakest section of the society. PM Kisan Samman Nidhi in Kerala has 60,687 ineligible beneficiaries, an amount that has been refunded, that is 36.40 crore. However, only 13.59 crore has been recovered as of now. That is not important for us, because these data will not be asked by UPSC. UPSC plays mostly on the concept. Those data are important which has been discussed in the economic survey and the budget. Okay. These data, inflation data, GDP data, trends of the GDP, trends of the inflation, trends of your current account, you can say deficit, trade deficits, when we are talking about the fiscal deficit or the foreign investment, forex reserves, these trends are important. They will play on these facts, but they will never ask you that how many people were ineligible. So what you have to extract from this article is that what is PM Kisan. So let's see what is PM Kisan. Here you can see it is a central sector scheme with 100% funding from Government of India, operational from 1 December 2018. The scheme aims to supplement the financial needs of the farmers in the procuring various inputs to ensure proper crop health and appropriate yields commensurate with the anticipated income of the farmer. Okay. State government and the union territories administration, they are basically identifying the eligible farmers over there. What they are doing is that, first of all, this is central sector scheme. That means that 100% of the funding will be coming from the center. Okay. Second thing is, when we are talking about the centrally sponsored scheme, that means that state governments plus the central government, both of them will be contributing to the funding. Second thing, it is to supplement the financial needs of the farmer. When we are talking about the sowing, there are different seasons and the farmer has to go for buying you can say seeds, etc., inputs, etc. For them, they are giving this much of input, that is 2,000 in 3 installments, that is 6,000 rupees. Okay. And who will be identifying the beneficiaries? That is the state government. Now coming to the next one over here, Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi, that is direct income support of 6,000 rupees per annum for farmers, that we have discussed. They have said that it will benefit 12 crore small and marginal farmers having cultivable you can say land up to 2 hectares. Okay. And they are saying that farmer families, okay, they will be going for benefiting these 12 crore small and marginal farmer families which is having this land area up to 2 hectares. Okay. Other than that, this is a direct transfer scheme, so that they will be directly transferring the funds to the banks. Okay. They can go for the 3 installments as well. Now we can move further to the next article, that is talking about amid slowdown, RBI government gulf widens growth to holding rates. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, all eyes on policy meetings December 4 to 6. Why that? Because considering this policy meeting, that is basically your monetary policy committee. Monetary policy committee is the committee which decides on the inflation situation in India, and they try to control the inflation. They try to keep the inflation around 4% plus minus 2%. That is, the 2% is the buffer, 4% is the limit. So basically you can say that inflation in India can be between 2 to 6%. But we have seen that in the last month, we have seen that inflation has crossed the 6% mark as well. Okay. Now you are targeting inflation and inflation is still rising, and then you are saying that growth is also, the RBI has last time said that they will be expecting that India will grow at a pace of more than 7%. Okay, but if we are talking about the last quarter, it was somewhere around 5 to 6%. So we are saying that we are not performing well on the inflation front, and we are not performing well on the, you can say, GDP front as well. So that is why all eyes are on the policy meeting which is to happen on the December 4 to 6. Now let's see what is the issue over here. What is the gulf between the government and RBI? Okay. So first is economic growth slowdown. India's GDP growth slumped to 5.4% in Q2 financial year 2025, the lowest in the 7 quarters, raising concerns over RBI's growth projections. Okay, RBI has projected that that will be around 7.2%. And what is this? That is around 5.4%. Now one thing is that they might have gone wrong in the assessment. That is one thing. Second, if you talk about RBI's growth estimate, RBI revised growth forecast for financial year 2025 to 7.2% in June, surprising the government, which cited the factors like delayed monsoon and the high inflation. Government is saying that there is the delayed monsoon, there is high inflation, and because of which there are chances that we will perform lesser this time. But RBI was saying that we will be going for the 7.2% growth. Now because of which you can say there is this difference in the opinion of both the parties over here. Now let's see static policy rates. Now RBI has kept the repo rate static in the last few months. You will be seeing RBI has kept the repo rate unchanged at 6.5% since the February 2023, resulting in the high real interest rates for the non-food sectors. Now if you can say repo rate is 6.5%, that is not a very low repo rate, it is a higher, you can say it is on the higher side. Now because of which what will happen is that the liquidity in the market should be less, or you can say loans which are given in the market, that should be less. If loans are less, that means that investment will be less. Private sector will not have money to go for the investment, and if investment is less, that means that your GDP will be lower. Okay, so that has happened because of the repo rate. Now why is that we have kept the repo rate static? Because we were targeting inflation, we were targeting that inflation should be within the bounds. Okay, now moving further, high lending rates for the housing, that is 8.5%, MSMEs, that is 10 to 11%, are considered restrictive despite netting out inflation, that is 6%. That is considering restrictive. That means that there will be lesser money which will be available in the market, but despite that you can say inflation is higher. Now moving further, credit inflation can be high because of two things. Okay, one, if the liquidity in the market is very high, in that case you will see the prices will increase. But the thing is, right now we are saying that these are restrictive policies, we are having lesser you can say liquidity in the market, then how is that inflation is high? That can be from the supply side as well, considering the geopolitical situations, considering the gold prices which has rise because of the you can say US federal rate cuts, etc. Considering all these things, supply side constraints if we consider, so because of that also inflation can rise. Other than that, in India inflation is dependent on the factors like monsoon, it is dependent on the factors like you can say food prices, fuel prices. So considering that, inflation is high right now. Now credit deposit ratio debate. RBI measures to reduce the credit deposit ratio to credit growth slowing to 11% from 16% in 2024. Now if you are talking about the deposits in the banks are getting lesser and lesser, because there are better, you can say, incentives which are there in the market, there are better returns which are there in the market from the mutual funds, etc. Now considering that deposit are decreasing, if deposit is decreasing, then how bank will go for the loans? So that is also one point of contention over here. Now Inflation focus, as I told you that RBI is focusing on the inflation, monetary policy committee is focusing on the inflation, and because of the, you can say, food prices, fuel prices, the inflation is high. RBI maintains a strict stance on inflation, flagging risk from the food prices, while the government believes food inflation is supply driven and less amenable to the monetary controls. Obviously, if you put a monetary control, that can affect the liquidity, but if there is the delayed monsoon, that obviously there will be a supply side constraint, and then prices will be high, so you cannot do anything about that. Now moving further, food inflation trends. Retail inflation surged from surged to 6.21% in October. As I told you that it has moved more than 6%, so that is 6.21%. This is outside the bracket of RBI, that is 2 to 6%. Okay, driven by the food inflation that is nearly around 11%, 10.87%, challenging the RBI's 4% plus minus 2% inflation target. Okay, so that we have already discussed. Core inflation, if we talk about core inflation, means that they have taken out the food and the fuel. Okay, when we talk about the basket of CPI is the you can say indicator from which we will be going for the calculation of the inflation. For that, you have these particular items which are there considered for the basket, and if you take these food and fuel from this, then you are going for the core inflation. Okay, if you are including the food and fuel, that is your headline inflation. Now here you can see the core inflation rose from 3.2% to 4.2% recently, influenced by the gold and silver prices, raising questions on the broader pass through on the food inflation. Now inflation versus growth. Now if you are going for the let's say more and more liquidity, or you are going for a stance wherein you are decreasing the repo rate, because of which more loans are given and more money is there in the market, more liquid money is there in the market. But if liquid money is higher in the market, that means that inflation will go further high, and high inflation is not good for any economy. That is one thing. Now if you are not going for, you can say, such easing of the liquidity, that means that you will be going for, you will be impacting the growth, which we have just seen that. So that is the conundrum which is there in the economy, and we have to walk on the thin line, okay, to make sure that there is a balance. So we will see what happens in the future. So that is their inflation versus growth debate. Tensions over the RBI's inflation centric policy amidst the growth slowdown have reignited the debates on balancing growth with the price stability. Now we can move further to the next one, that is Trump threats to BRICS give up idea of replacing the dollar or face 100% tariff. So you know that Trump has this America first policy. He is looking inward. Okay, so he is having this, when it comes to the economy, he has some radical policies. Okay, now what Trump is saying, that if BRICS is considering to go for an alternative currency, okay, to challenge the hegemony of the dollar, they will go for the 100% of the tariff. Now even if USA goes for the 100% of the tariff, then it will be harmful for USA only, because BRICS countries are the emerging markets. There are other countries which are also joining BRICS now. Now BRICS is the, you can say, grouping which is expanding. Even if you are going for the 100% sanction on the BRICS, that means that you are targeting your own business. Okay, so that is one thing. Let's see over here. Donald Trump's recent comment targeting BRICS efforts to challenge the dominance of the US reflect escalating geopolitical and the economic tensions. His threat imposing 100% tariff on nations creating alternative reserve currencies signals on an aggressive stance to maintain the dollar supremacy. Dollar supremacy, most of the trade which is happening world over, that is happening in the dollar, and that is why dollar is a hard currency. Now the thing is, if you are saying that there is an alternative currency which is getting ready in the BRICS or something, that will be threatening the dollar supremacy. Ultimately USA will not like that. So that is why Donald Trump is threatening that they will put tariffs on the BRICS countries. Okay. Now however, the experts caution that such measures might harm the US economy by raising the cost for its consumers and disrupting the global trade dynamics. So that will be detrimental for USA too. Now key highlights from the situation: US's dollar dominance. As I told you, the most of the trade is happening in US dollars. Okay, nearly 90% of the global transactions are happening in the US dollars. However, its influence has slightly waned over the past 2 decades, with alternative currency including Chinese renminbi gaining traction. So what is happening is that China is threatening US's hegemony anywhere when we are talking about political or the cultural or you can say economical hegemony. Okay, so that is one thing. The new currency that is there, that is renminbi. Okay, so please remember that. I have also heard very less of it, but if they are saying that that is challenging the USA's hegemony economically. So we are not saying that that has challenged it, okay, but there is a creation which has happened. 90% of the trade is still in the US dollars, but that is declining. That is the problem. Other than that, also you must have heard that Russia and India are going for the rupee swap. Russia, India and Maldives are going for the rupee swap, or you can say India and Iran has also signed agreement with respect to rupees trade in the past, okay. So considering all these things, that they are sidelined in the US dollars, okay. Now why is that? Because obviously US dollar is a currency. Now if you are too much dependent on that, and let's say if there is a outflow, when we are talking about the current situations, there was this FII outflow which India has faced recently, because of which our forex reserve will decline, because dollar is going out of your country, okay. So recently most of the central reserve banks, etc., they have also gone for the acquisition of the gold, okay. So that is a different story. Coming to the next one, BRICS position. While countries like China advocate reducing reliance on the dollar, members like India favor a more balanced approach, emphasizing collaboration with the US and the gradual financial reforms. So basically they are saying that we should collab with the USA and then go for the gradual reforms, but countries like China, which are against the hegemony of USA, they are obviously against that. They are saying that they should go for the alternative currency, okay. Now India's role, India has made stride towards the trade diversification, including enabling rupee based transaction. As I told you, there are various countries with which we have these rupees based transaction related things, and second thing is we are promoting our UPI. So if we are promoting UPI interface, that means that you can go to another country, then you can pay with your UPI. So that means that that is also a transaction which has happened in the rupee only, okay. Anyway, still, its dependence on the dollar-centric mechanism persists due to the geopolitical risk and the trade imbalance such with the Russia. Okay, so still, since as I told you that 90% of the trade is still in the form of US dollars, so India is still dependent on that. Coming to the next one, global financial shift. US actions like weaponizing SWIFT, imposing sanctions have driven nations to explore alternatives. Weaponizing SWIFT. SWIFT is a messaging service with respect to the transaction which has happened. Okay, when we are talking about the international transactions, so there is this messaging service which approves the transaction, that is SWIFT. Okay, now this is a Western instrument which has been made after, you can say, US Russia issue. They have gone for the sanctions, and Russia cannot use this SWIFT instrument. Okay, that is why they want to create alternatives one, and China also is thinking of making alternative of something like that. They have also talked about the BRICS pay, etc. So all these things are there in the you can say discourses right now. They are creating an alternative you can say infrastructure against the USA. Okay, countries like Russia, countries like China, Iran, these will be favoring such you can say positions. So this is about, you can say, today's discussion with respect to the Trump threat to BRICS and how it will impact the USA as well. Okay. Now let's move further to the next one, that is basically prior sanction on the what Supreme Court said on the ED cases against the public officials. Now there is this section 197 in the CRPC, which is saying that if there is a case which is filed against a public servant on a act which has been done during the during the time when he was doing his own duty. Okay, at that point of time, if there was this act which is alleged to be an criminal act, and you can say the complaint has been filed, in that case, before the prosecution, he have to take the government sanction. Okay, there are exclusions like some of the heinous crimes which are there, or the crime against women. In such cases, there is this exception is there, but other than that, you have to take the sanction of the government. Now, what will happen in the case of PMLA? Now in PMLA, ED is the, you can say, body which will be going for the investigations. So the question was whether under PMLA they have to take the sanctions or not. So Supreme Court recently has decided that you have to take the sanctions, because under PMLA there is nothing, no provision which is saying that you don't have to take the sanctions. Only one provision is that you can say you have to follow the CRPC until unless CRPC's provisions are against the PMLA's act. Okay, if there is a specific provision which has been made in the PMLA and that is against the CRPC, so that at that point of time you have to follow the PMLA. But if there is no provisions, in such cases there is no provision which is given with respect to the sanction, so you have to take the sanctions here also. Okay, so that is what Supreme Court has decided. If let's talk about it. So recently there was this case against Arvind Kejriwal and the P. Chidambaram. Okay, and they have filed for the stay on the respective trials. So one of them has got it, one of them has not, and they have said that they were public servant at that point of time, and that is why there should be a prior sanction which has to be taken from the government. Now, what is prior sanction? That is section 197 of the Code of Criminal Procedure 1973 bars courts from taking cognizance of offences alleged to have been committed by a judge, magistrate or a public servant. So in case of a judge, magistrate or public servant, you have to take a prior sanction from the government, okay, who was acting to act in discharge of his official duty. So when he was on the official duty, he has done an act and that has been alleged to be a crime, okay, while committing the alleged offence. Unless prior previous sanction has been given by the government, you cannot go for the prosecution, okay. Now section 218 of the Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita talking about the same thing, because you know that we have gone for the criminal law reforms, considering that now we are following Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita, okay, and so section 218 is talking about the same thing. Now what is this? This is the shield which has been provided to the public servants. So here you can say explanation to this particular provision says that no sanction will be required when the public servant are accused of the certain crimes against women such as rape, sexual harassment, stalking, voyeurism. Okay, so on for such crimes you don't have to take the sanctions, and other serious crimes such as human trafficking. Now several previous rulings are there. Provisions does not extend its protective cover to every act or omission of a public servant while in service, only to those acts or omissions which are done by the public servant while discharging his duty. So not all the acts will be covered, only those acts will be covered while he was discharging the duty. Let's say if there is a person who was outside the office and he has done something in the lunch hours, in that case it will not be providing you this particular sanction. But the thing is, if that particular person is on a business trip, or you can say on a government trip on which he has gone for a particular crime, in that case he will be responsible for that, and for that you have to take a prior sanction from the government, okay. So that is there. In Devinder Singh versus State of Punjab, protection of sanction is an assurance to an honest and sincere officer to perform honest duty and to best of his ability to further the public duty. However, authority cannot be camouflaged to commit a crime. So basically that was to protect the honest officers, and but not to camouflage a crime, that we are not giving you an authority, we are not giving you an authority that you can go for committing a crime and then we will be providing you this particular shield. So that is not the case. That has been given in the you can say Devinder Singh judgment, okay. Now in the recent judgment in this particular cases over here on November 6, the section 197 subsection 1 of the CRPC applies to alleged offences under the Prevention of the Money Laundering Act, that is PMLA. So they are saying that under the PMLA also this section will be taken. Until unless any provision is not against the CRPC, till then CRPC will also be followed over here. So here you can say there is no specific provision in the PMLA that states prior section is not required. It did not find any provision therein which is inconsistent with the provision of the section 197 clause 1 of the CRPC, section 65 of the PMLA, which makes the provision of CRPC applicable to all proceedings under PMLA unless they are inconsistent with the PMLA proceedings. So section 65 of the PMLA is saying that until unless there is something provided otherwise in the PMLA, till then CRPC, all the provisions of CRPC will also be followed over here as well, okay. Other than that, there are 2-3 cases which has been discussed over here, which you don't have to remember all these things, but just know that they have said that there are 2 conditions. One, that crime has been committed by the public servant and that has been committed during the time of his duty, or he was performing the duty, okay. In such cases only you can go for this particular protection that you are talking about, that is basically a shield, or you can say prior sanction by the government. Other than that, one more thing is there. Now proceedings are going on and then this particular public servant can say that prior sanction has not been taken. In that case, that case will not be entertained even if there is a conviction, okay, and then he goes to the court and they said the private sanction has not been you can say considered over here, that has not been taken. In that case also that conviction will be set aside, okay. So that is something which we have discussed with respect to the section 197 of the Criminal Procedure Code. Now coming to the next one, that is loan Barnavapra Tiger Reserve captured after the entering into town. Now we have talked about this particular thing, that there was a tiger which was witnessed in this particular area of Barnavapra. Okay, so that is there in Chhattisgarh. Okay, and now that tiger has been captured and translocated to another site. That is basically Guru Ghasidas Tamor Pingla Tiger Reserve. Guru Ghasidas Tamor Pingla Tiger Reserve has been in news for another reason as well. This is the recent addition to the tiger reserve, that is 56th tiger reserve in India. Okay, so please remember this. This is the 56th tiger reserve in which this particular tiger has been transferred. Now there are two locations. One is your Barnavapra, that is there in Chhattisgarh, and when we are talking about this Tamor Pingla is also there in the northern Chhattisgarh. Okay, and it is in the vicinity of your Bandhavgarh, it is in the vicinity of your Sanjay Dubri. All these areas are there. Okay, that Palamau Tiger Reserve, that is also there in Jharkhand. Palamau is there in Jharkhand. Then we have Bandhavgarh is there in MP. Okay, and then Sanjay Dubri, which is also on the border of MP and Chhattisgarh. So these are the, you can say, all the tiger reserves which are forming a contiguous zone. Okay, so the movement of tigers can be easy over here. So that is about this particular tiger reserve. Location is important, so I have taken this article. Moving further, cyclone Fengal to hit the coast between Karaikal, Mahabalipuram. Just know that on the side of the Bay of Bengal, now we have one more cyclone, that is your cyclone Fengal. Okay, so please keep the you can say this particular name in your mind. Last time we have talked about Asna, we have talked about Dana, and now this is Fengal. Okay, so please remember that. Now coming to the next one, economic factors, cultural reverence behind the human lion coexistence in Gujarat. Now Gujarat is the only state where you will be finding Asiatic lions. Okay, so Gir is the area, Gir National Park is there. So that is the area wherein you will be finding that. And why is that they are coexisting with the humans over there? There are 2-3 factors. One is that the cultural and the religious factors are there. Okay, so that is the second thing is that if there is a human animal conflict, so there is a good provision of the compensation which is there. Okay, so considering that also they are living coexistently over here. Asiatic lions are coexisting with the humans in the Gujarat forest, only home for their entire population, that is 674 in India. Cultural and the religious reverence for the big cats, government compensation for the livestock death, and availability of the abandoned cattle for the lions to feed on. Now these are the 3 factors. If there is a conflict, you can say lion and animal conflict, if they are attacking the cattle, etc., there is good compensation which is given. Second thing is the availability of the abandoned you can say cattle. If a cattle is not performing in the later part of their life, so people over there, they will be leaving them on the stray. Okay, and then these cattle will be acting as a, you can say, prey base for the lions which are living in this particular area. Okay, so that is why they are coexisting over here. Now 14,000 livestock depredation and the 11,000 compensation claim has been there in with respect to the human and animal conflict over here. So this is the reason because of which they are living over here. There are various government, they have said that they would want to translocate lions from the Gujarat to another states, but Gujarat government is not in favor of that. There are certain data which are given over here that geographic range of lions raising by 36% between 2015 to 2020, and their population has increased by 6% per annum. So they are basically in the good condition. Okay, now lions are also benefited in 2 counts, that is greater human acceptance. They can move around the outside the Gir protected area. Sometimes these lions are also going out of the Gir protected area. That is the reason that because of which they are attacking the cattle, and that is why government is giving the compensation. But one thing is that they do not have to be restricted in a particular zone. So that is why they can actually go sometimes outside the protected area and visit the villages nearby. Okay. Second thing is that the cultural practices, etc., which are there, because of which the old cattle are abandoned, which form the prey base for the, you can say, lion. So this is from your this particular article. From this you can remember one thing, that Gir in Gujarat, that is important for the Asiatic lions. Okay, that is all. Now moving further, Bihar, after 20 years, ASI to unveil Assembly Hall of Mauryan Empire. You must have heard about the 80 pillar assembly. That is in Bihar, there is this place Kumrahar. In that particular place, we have this 18 pillared assembly. This is basically the assembly where Samrat Ashok used to, their darbar used to be assembled over there. Okay, So this is an archaeological fact which is there. Just know that there is this 80 pillar assembly which is there from the Mauryan architecture. You can say that this is one of the last remains which is there in the with respect to the Mauryan architecture. The Archaeological Survey of India Sunday began the process of unveiling a portion of 80 pillar assembly hall in Kumrahar area of Patna. Now remember, please, this particular place Kumrahar, you have to note that in Bihar we have this Kumrahar, and regarded as the only evidence of architectural activity of the Mauryan Empire. Remains of the Mauryan Empire, Palace of Patliputra. Mauryan Palace of Patliputra, and this is basically the remains of that. The process of unveiling some of the buried Mauryan stone pillars of the Ashokan Sabhagar 80 pillar assembly was initiated by the ASI. So this is something which you have to remember, that we have this 80 pillar Sabhagar, which is the remains of your Mauryan Palace of Patliputra, and this is there in Kumrahar, Patna, Bihar. Okay. Now moving further to the next one, is pollution is reducing your vitamin D. Now we will be talking about this thing. When we are talking about the vitamin D, that is essential for your bones, that is essential for your teeth, etc. Okay. So for the strength of your bones and teeth, and other than that your immunity, vitamin D is important. Now the natural source of vitamin D is basically sunlight. Okay. So what happens is that your skin absorbs the UV rays, and then they synthesize this vitamin D inside your body. Vitamin D acts as a hormone as well as a vitamin. Okay. Now we have this vitamin D which is generated from the sunlight. Now because of the fog and the other pollutants which are there, because of which there is less sunlight which is coming to, or you can say there are less sunlight days. When you come to the Delhi in the winters, you will be seeing that you will be getting less sunlight because of the fog, because of the smog, and because of which you are not getting the generation of the vitamin D, and ultimately there is this issue with respect to the bone regenerations, or you can say your immunity related issues which are there. Okay. So yes, because of the pollution, vitamin D is reducing. Okay. Vitamin D, often called as the sunshine vitamin, please remember that, a role maintaining in our bone health, immune functions and the mood regulations, produced in the skin through the exposure to the sunlight. Less sunlight, that means that less vitamin D, and because of the winter, in the winter months, because of the smoke, etc., we are getting less vitamin D. Now understanding vitamin D is a unique because it functions as both nutrient as well as a hormone. It helps the body absorb calcium and phosphorus, essential for the strong bone and the teeth. They have also played a role in the immune function, muscle health, regulating the inflammations. Now body naturally produces vitamin D when the skin is exposed to the ultraviolet rays, that is UV rays. Okay. Beside lack of the adequate sunlight, people with the darker skin which are having higher level of melanin. Now melanin is the, you can say, substance which is responsible for your color or the complexion of the skin. Okay. Now if you have high level of melanin, that means that your skin will be of a darker, you can say, complexion. Now if you are having a darker complexion, that means that the vitamin D generation will be less. Now if the winter months are there, then vitamin D generation will be even more or less. Okay. So that will lead to problems like the lack of immunity, etc. Now cannot produce enough vitamin from the sunlight. Older adults, those with the obesity, digestive disorder and the kidney diseases cannot produce vitamin D. Okay. So these are the people who cannot produce vitamin D, or the lack of vitamin D production will be there. So how do you intake vitamin D, or you increase the vitamin D? So you have to increase your hours in the sun. Okay. Nearly 15 to 20 minutes in the sun in a day, that would be sufficient. Other than that, fatty fishes such as salmon, mackerel, tuna, sardines, these are the fishes which are source of your vitamin D. Eggs from the hens which has been exposed to the sunlight are good source of vitamin D. Try fortified milk, orange juice, cereals, etc. Cheese and yogurts, they are also having some kind of vitamin D, some little bit of vitamin D. Some types of mushrooms are exposed to ultraviolet light, such as maitake and the shiitake, contain vitamin D. Now please remember these two names, that is MAI take, she take. These are types of mushrooms. Okay. Last time I remember that UPSC has asked about a particular kind of mushroom. Okay. So please remember the name, that can be one thing. Now moving further, there is this particular vial which has been discovered, and they are saying that this vial is, if we are taking 2 shots of this vial, that is having 100% efficiency, and that will, you can say, prevent you from the HIV AIDS. Okay. So here you can see the closest the world has ever come to vaccine against the AIDS virus. the twice yearly shots are 100% effective in the preventive HIV infections. Okay, so there is this drug maker, that is Gilead or Gilead. Okay, it will be they are saying that they will be giving you the generic version of these particular vials in the countries like Africa and the Southeast Asian countries, etc., but they are not giving it to Latin Americans. Okay, so that is something which is there. So we celebrated World AIDS Day on this particular Sunday. Okay, UN AIDS, the number of AIDS that last year was expected to be somewhere around 6,000, estimated to be somewhere around 6,30,000, lowest since the peaking in 2024. Now that has been reducing, but still that is a lot of number. And when we are talking about a disease which does not have any kind of you can say treatment, this particular thing comes as a hope. Okay, the name of this particular vial is basically, here it is written somewhere over here, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting it. Here, that is Lenacapavir. Okay, please remember this name. They might ask you. There are chances which are less, but they might ask you. Brand name over here is that under which brand name they are being sold, that is Sun Lanka. Okay, Sun Lanka, this is the brand name. Other than that, there is nothing in this article. Just know that there has been a discovery wherein they are selling this Lenacapavir in the countries like UK, USA, and now they will be sending it to the countries like you can say South African countries, and the Southeast Asian regions. Okay, so that is about this article. Now moving further, from your IR's point of view, there was this attack which has happened somewhere over here in the areas. There is this city, that is Idlib. Okay, so Russia and you can say Syria, they are collaborating on this particular area. There are rebels which are there in this region, and they are trying to suppress these rebels. You don't have to worry much about this particular article. Just one thing, that it has happened, and that is why I have told you that here you can see Russia. What was the objective behind taking this article was that you should know about the city, that is Idlib, which is there in Syria, then Aleppo. These are also there, because in the match the following, there are chances that they ask about the cities which has been in the conflict. Okay, so that is there. So as rebels sweep through the Aleppo, Russian and Syrian jet intensify bombing in the northwest region. So that is there. So you can go through this particular article. I don't think much is important from this. Just name these two names, that is Syria and in Syria we have these two cities, that is Idlib and the Aleppo. Now for your own read, there is this article, Dargah Sharif of Ajmer. We have talked about this issue with respect to the places of worship. We have talked about the Ajmer Sharif and why it is in the news. So if you are interested, you can go through this particular article. Otherwise we have already discussed. Now we can move further. Okay, so let's end the session with a you can say MCQ. Okay, so here you can say I'm thinking of bringing the PYQs in the section, that we have almost completed the you can say constitutional amendment. So we'll be taking some of the PYQs for our discussions. Okay, because prelims is coming, so that will be very beneficial for us. So next section after this ending the constitutional amendments, we'll be going for the PYQs. Okay, for now we have practice question, that is, where is Bandra Vapra Wildlife Sanctuary located? Bihar, Jharkhand, Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh. Okay, so you have to attempt this question and answer to me in the comment box. With that, I would like to take your leave. I'll see you in the next episode. Till then, have a good day. Thank you. Other than that, okay, fine. Thank you very much. Have a nice day, and please subscribe the channel.